about Russian adoption with him, which is interesting because that was a part of the conversation that Don had with this meeting.
Well, the news of Trump's meeting with Putin has now deepened divisions between the president and his national security team. As one official told the Associated Press, quote, diplomats and intelligence officials were dumbfounded by the president's approach toward Russia. National Security Advisor H.R. McMaster had warned that Putin is not to be trusted and advised the president against holding an official bilateral meeting with Putin. Well, joining right now is Democratic Senator Chris Coons of Delaware, who sits on the Judiciary and the Foreign Relations Committees, and Howard Fineman, of course, is Global Editorial Director of the Huffington Post and an MSNBC political analyst. Senator, what do you make of this strange behavior by the president, going over there and spending an hour, according to the Washington Post, chatting away and apparently talking about sanctions? Because I don't know how you talk about the adoption issue without talking about the sanctions, which led to the Russians cutting off adoptions to this country.
Well, Chris, this is just another example of President Trump being an unconventional president in ways that I think deeply concern his national security team and concern our allies, and at times is even reckless. He's confronting someone in Vladimir Putin who is a sharp, capable former KGB agent with all the skills and tools that implies. Donald Trump is the fourth U.S. president that Vladimir Putin has sized up and dealt with, and Donald Trump, frankly, as our president, is in some ways learning on the job. I think the fact that he went over and had a conversation of up to an hour's length and reportedly didn't bring his own translator, but relied on the Russian translator, is the sort of rookie mistake that would make his national security advisor, his defense secretary, and others quite concerned that he is trusting Vladimir Putin.
Let's talk about Russian tradecraft and KGB and latter-day Russian espionage. It seems to me that they began this effort back in June of last year, at least by then, when they dangled dirt on Hillary Clinton to the president's son, who then brought in all the campaign manager, the campaign chairman, the son-in-law, the whole shebang to get all the dirt they could on Hillary. But the Russians were signaling then in their email that they were in this thing to help Trump beat Hillary Clinton. Was that the beginning of a control situation by the former KGB boss? What is this about?
Well, Chris, one of the things that was most surprising, most striking to me about the email that Donald Trump Jr. released was that in the email transcript, when he was sent an email saying this offer of compromising information on Hillary Clinton is a part of Russia's effort to help your father win the presidency, his response wasn't, "What?" or "What are you talking about?" or "I'll give this to the FBI," or "That's unacceptable," or "We're not interested." His response was, "Let's have a meeting." I think that was the opening door of an attempt by the Russians to build a relationship with the senior levels of the Trump campaign team, but that's just conjecture on my part. This is why next Wednesday we're going to have Paul Manafort and Donald Trump Jr. appear in front of the Judiciary Committee. It's why the Intelligence Committee continues to get both documents and witnesses in front of their ongoing investigation. We don't know for sure what transpired in that meeting, but we know that when it was first described and discussed, there was misrepresentations made, and it's only after several days of public disclosures that we ultimately learned how many people were at that meeting, who was at that meeting, and we don't yet really know the topic of the meeting.
Well, after defending his conversation with Putin by saying it was about adoptions, Trump moved on to defend his son's involvement in that June 9th meeting last year. He said that any politician would have agreed to meet with Russians to get dirt on an opponent, and that some Republican senators actually agree with him on that. Let's watch.
You know, when they call up and they say, by the way, we have information on your opponent, I think most politicians, I was just with a lot of people, they said, who wouldn't have taken a meeting like that? They just said, a lot of them. They said, who wouldn't have taken a meeting like that? And that was before Russia. No, a couple of them. That was before Russia was hot, don't forget. Right. You know, Russia wasn't hot then. That was almost a year and a half ago. Yeah. So Russia wasn't like it is, like it wasn't radioactive. Russia was Russia.
Howard, what you make of that, him trying to bring in the gang? Everybody does it. It sounds like something you said when you were 12 years old, when you did something you shouldn't have. Oh, everybody does it. In fact, I just met with some Republican senators, unnamed, talking about unsourced information. Here he is citing Republicans. He won't even give their names because the guys will hate him if he does. They say it's all right to meet with foreign Russian operatives to discuss dirt on an opponent. They think it's fine to meet with people all associated with Moscow to get them involved in our politics. Are you kidding? What are your thoughts about that politics?
Well, my first thought is that the 3 New York Times reporters in there didn't take it seriously enough to demand to know who the senators were who told him that, because I doubt that there were any. Yeah. I think that's what's going on here is that Donald Trump is flailing. That whole interview to me was a man flailing. As you said, he's looking for ways to set up enemies to attack. He's looking for ways to discredit others. He's looking also to say, hey, it's just business as usual. The thing you have to understand about Donald Trump is he always makes as many arguments as he can to as many discrete constituents as he can. Whether they contradict each other, those arguments and defenses, doesn't matter to him. Whether he doesn't think of any of them as inoperative. They all go to a certain constituency. And when he says this is business as usual, he's speaking to the cynicism of his core voters who hate and distrust politicians and government, and Trump is going to play to that with that type of answer.
It sounds right to me. Anyway, while discussing special counsel Mueller, his investigation, President Trump conceded that he might have sold some real estate to the Russians, but maintained he doesn't make money from Russia. Here he goes.
I mean, it's possible that it's condo or something. So, I sell a lot of condo units, and somebody from Russia buys a condo. Who knows? I don't make money from Russia. They said I own buildings in Russia. I don't. They said I made money from Russia. It's not my thing. I don't do that. Over the years, I've looked at maybe doing a deal in Russia, but I never did one.
Senator Coons, what do you make of Trump out there who's being investigated, telling the investigator what he's allowed to investigate? It's as simple and stupid as that. He's saying, don't go after my family finances, even though here he is right there saying that he was investing in Russia, selling buildings with condominiums in them, whatever. He's admitting he's had financial relations in Russia, and now he's saying, but the special prosecutor can't follow the money.
Chris, this is just another example of outrageous actions by the president, threatening Bob Mueller and suggesting that there is a boundary beyond which he's not supposed to go. Suggests that the president either doesn't know or doesn't care what the limits are here in his actions and how he should be respecting the rule of law. Special counsel Mueller has been given a charge and the independence and the resources to pursue an investigation wherever it leads. And I think it's appropriate that Bob Mueller continue to do so. I also, frankly, given who Bob Mueller is and his career, don't expect him to be intimidated by anything the president says.
I agree with you. I don't think he has the cut of that jib. Anyway, thank you, Chris Coons, and thank you, Howard Fineman.
Thank you.
Up next, Senator John McCain promises he's sparing his sparring partners that he'll be back following some difficult health news. Straight ahead.